Hey guys, it's Karen, my review for the highly anticipated film from Alfonso Cuaron that has finally come onto Netflix, and of course that is Roma. And what Roma is essentially about is we center on this middle-class family in the 70s, and they're basically going about their daily lives, and it's all basically told from their housekeeper, who spends about like 2 to 4 weeks with them while their father is away on a quote-unquote business trip. And the rest of the film is basically just seeing them go about their life, how they deal with certain revelations, and basically giving us a very intimate look at Alfonso Cuaron's childhood, and that's really all there is to say. So, Roma overall, I was obviously hyped for this movie. I mean, how could I not have been? Alfonso Cuarón, he's one of the best out there, I think. He's someone who, he's so careful with each and everything he does. He picks projects that, he knows that he's going to be passionate about, and this is arguably, actually not arguably, it is his most passionate project yet. This is the project that I think he put the most care into, for sure. And hearing just the endless praise that this film was getting, I could not wait to finally see this. And thank God I did, because Roma is not only one of the best films of this entire year, but I truly do think it is one of the most emotional and effective films of this entire decade. I absolutely adore everything about this movie. There's so much to get into, but we're just getting into right now, starting off with the cast. And that's something that you'll take note of right away. There is not a single named actor in this movie, which at first glance, I was a little bit worried about, but seeing the film, it was absolutely a welcome decision, because it just makes this movie feel so much more real and so much more authentic, and that is especially the case when it comes to our main star here, Yalitza Aparicio. Sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but this is not someone that is an actress, and after this movie, I know she doesn't consider herself one, but this is absolutely something that she should consider herself doing, because she gives one of the best performances of the entire year. I loved everything about her character, Cleo. Cleo is someone who, she's going through a lot in her life, and you can tell she has a very tight-knit relationship with this family. She very much sees them as her family. Not much is known about her personal life, but we can see the relationship she has with them, and it just feels so real. It feels like this is a real person. You fall in love with her throughout the film. You understand, a lot of what she's doing. There's a lot that happens with her. She goes through an incredible arc in this film. There is one scene with her toward the third act that, if she does not at least get nominated for an Oscar, I don't know what's wrong with the Academy, because it is Oscar worthy. It is absolutely worth all the praise it's gotten. She, I hope, is going to become a star again. I know she said she doesn't want to. She's a school teacher, and that's what she wants to do, and you definitely get that sense. Like, you can see why Cuarón chose her, because she is very nurturing towards the children, and it feels very natural in that sense, but she also has a very good acting ability, and I really hope it is something that she tries to, make her profession. I think it's something that she would really nail, and this film very much does show that. I love what she did here, and she completely carried this film for me. And the rest of the cast here also is really great. Now, there's no particular standout besides Yalitza. I mean, she is the obvious standout, but all the others do a very good job here. I thought everyone really did a great job of, again, not making this feel cinematic, making this feel like a real family, making these feel like real individuals, and they really all do get a moment to shine. The kid actors here are really great. They're not overdoing it. They feel very real, and I really loved pretty much all the acting here. I thought all of them were pretty much fantastic. But the acting is not really what to talk about with this film. What to really talk about here is Alfonso Cuarón, because he did basically everything. The directing, the writing, the cinematography, the editing, it's all Cuarón's film, and thank God for that, because this is easily some of the best of all 4 of those categories that I just mentioned of the entire year. The directing especially is so great here. I mean, Cuarón knew exactly what kind of movie he was trying to make. In fact, he's trying to make a film that essentially doesn't feel like one. As I already touched upon, there is nothing about this movie that feels cinematic. There's nothing about it that that it feels like a movie. You forget you're watching a movie, and you start to feel more like you're watching a time capsule or memories that Cuaron put together. And you can tell these are memories that he's very fond of. It's something that he really wants to remember. He wants people to see the life that he had, even though it was a hard life. It was definitely not an easy life at all. It's something that he is very proud of, and I love that he was finally able to make this film. He just did such a great job in crafting this story and making it feel as real as possible, and I really loved it about this film. His directing, it's just so welcome here. There's so much I could get into, but he did such a great job directing this film. The writing, though, also is so great here because, look, a lot of people I don't think are going to appreciate this movie as much, and that's because from a writing standpoint, not a lot happens here, but at the same time, a lot happens, and it's similar to films like, say, Boyhood or 8th Grade, but I wouldn't put this film in the same type of category. It's similar in the sense where the film is really just a series of moments. It's a series of moments of watching this family go about their life, but it's a whole different type of film from those, ilks. It's a very different type of film altogether. The biggest difference, of course, is how silent this film really is. It requires the viewer's fullest attention, and if you guys aren't willing to give a film your fullest attention, you might not get the same experience with Roma that I did, but trust me, it will absolutely be worth the wait. And again, there is stuff here that some people aren't going to like. I mean, there are literally scenes in this movie of just watching Cleo turn off all the lights within the house or washing floors. And to me, I found this to be endlessly compelling because this is something that you can tell that she does almost every single day. And you can see the emotion that she's going through here. You can see how she really feels about all this. And the way they're able to communicate that through something as simple as just a chore that she's doing is really well done. The only other film I can think of that's done that is a foreign film called Jean Dillman, which I haven't seen yet, but after this film, I actually do really want to check that out because this film did feel very similar to that. I have a friend who is pretty much obsessed with that film, and I can totally see why after watching this. Again, I don't know if it's, considering I haven't seen the film, I don't know if it's the most accurate comparison, but there were definitely things here that felt very similar to that, and trust me, while the film is very slow at first, it will eventually win you over, and when things start to happen, you start to feel overcome with emotion. You start to feel like you're a part of this family, and the way Cuaron did that, I mean, it's incredible the way he was able to pull that off, and he did it in a way that other directors simply aren't able to do, and I think it's a very welcome choice overall, and one of the biggest reasons for that is there is no score in this film. This film is almost completely silent. Like, obviously, there's dialogue and things like that, but there is no score here, because, again, he doesn't want this to feel cinematic. He wants this to feel like an accurate portrayal of his life and what he went through, and I think there was such a genius decision by completely negating any sound in this movie. You just feel so much more intimate, and it gives this film this authenticity that I think other films just aren't really able to project, and it elicits a reaction out of you that is, I think, far more profound than movies that do have that cinematic feel to them, because when you're watching a movie, typically, you know you're watching a movie, but Roma's one of those movies where you do forget you're watching a movie because of how real it really does feel, and I know this sounds extremely pretentious, and again, maybe I'm overhyping it a bit, but I really do think that there's something to be said about him just completely getting rid of any music from this movie. I truly do think it would have taken away from what was going on. Sure, there were bits and pieces where maybe you could have added some, but I heard that there's going to be a cut of this movie where Beck is doing the score, and I'm honestly not interested because I think taking away the sound completely, it just gives this film a different kind of feel. It makes you feel like you're a part of the action. It makes you feel like you're right there with this family, and I think it was a very smart choice overall. But something else Cuaron did very well is that he really doesn't hold back in telling this story. Sure, he's telling the story of this family, and things seem to be going really great for them, but he's not afraid to zero in on what they're really going through. I mean, because, you know, at first, you'd think, okay, this is a really good, very healthy family, but then you start to realize what they're really going through, why their father is away a lot, how strained their marriage really is, and what this does to the kids, and the fact that the mother has to constantly find a way to sidestep any sort of worries that the kids have and try to, try to keep them from figuring out what's going on. And that did feel that definitely, I think, is going to be very relatable for some people, and I really like that they did add that there. But add on to that, the film does actually get quite violent at points. There was a lot going on, within within the city of Roma. It was definitely a very dangerous place in the 1970s, and again, that's something that Cuaron is not afraid to shy away from. There's a lot of stuff here that I was not expecting. I was not expecting him to cover a lot of that stuff, but I think he did a very good job in not shying away from that. It comes out of nowhere, but again, it doesn't feel like it's not something where it feels abrupt. It's not something where it somehow brings the movie down. If anything, I think it's more impressive that a film that is so slow and quiet a lot of the time, it has this really big moment, and it completely it completely just takes you off guard, and it sucks you in, and it's probably one of the most intense scenes of the entire year, and you'll know it when you see it. But I was not expecting it to get as dark as it really did, but because of the fact that Cuaron did such a great job with setting up that family and getting us connected to them and falling in love with them overall, it made those scenes that much more impactful in the end. Also, I will say right now, I really don't think anything is going to top this film's cinematography. I mean, there's been some really great films out there, and this happens to me a lot in this portion of the year. I'm like, oh, nothing's going to top this, and then I see something and it tops it. But honestly, it's going to take a lot, because there is something to be said about the visual style here. Not just the visuals they're presented in this movie, but they're shot with such detail and such care. And Cuaron, like I said, did the cinematography here. So he knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't want anyone else to be at the helm of it. And again, I think it was a very wise choice, because he got the shots that he needed. He was able to tell the story that he wanted to. And it's one of those films where there's so much symbolism within every single shot. Something as simple as just Cleo going about and turning all of the lights off. Again, it's something that shouldn't be this compelling. It's something that I shouldn't be this drawn to, but it just really sucks you into the environment. And right from the first shot of this movie, you already know what the tone's gonna be like. You already know something about Cleo, and it's just masterful in every sense of the word. It's just incredible. I loved what Cuaron was able to do here in terms of the film's visual presentation. It is in every way a visual film. It's a reason why, if you can see this in theaters, see it immediately. I kind of wish that I was able to see it in theaters because of this, and I think definitely it's the best cinematography of the entire year. I mean, there are just so many incredible shots in this film. There are some that I think are never going to leave your head, and shooting it in black and white, again, it just gives this really sort of authentic feel, and also sort of like a home movie, because back then, if you were to watch like a home movie, it would very much be on black and white. And again, maybe I'm overthinking it a bit, but I really do think he was trying to go for that very sentimental kind of feel, and he captured that very well here. I just adored everything about the cinematography. Also, the sound design in this movie is otherworldly. I mean, there were many points, and I'm not joking you, in this movie where I legitimately thought that there was someone in another room, or there was someone right next to me, because the sound design is just that good. I truly don't know how they were able to do it, and it's kind of scary to think about, but the way Cuaron does it, it makes you feel like you're right there. It makes you feel like you're part of the action. Again, it just goes with that intimate feeling that I think he was trying to capture here, and it really does go with the sound design as well. it's just incredible the way it was done. I don't talk about sound design a lot, but there really is something to be said about just how real it felt. I really can't explain it, but it is on a whole other level here. And again, it's just as masterful as pretty much everything else in this film. And the pacing of this film, I think, is going to bother some, but for me, I thought it was very much warranted. It made sense to make the film as slow as it is, because, again, we're getting attached to this family. We're trying to get sucked into their lives. We're seeing exactly what they go through. So when things do eventually start to happen and certain plot points are revealed, it feels all the more, it feels all the more impactful. It feels all the more warranted in that sense. And I think he just did a great job. I really can't think of a single complaint I have with this movie. I mean, this to me is just the definition of mastercraft in every sense of the word. This is a true master on display here. I mean, after this movie, Alfonso Cuaron is without a doubt one of the best out there today. I mean, he's one of the best talents out there. Director, writer, cinematographer, you name it. He knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't even need Emmanuel Lubezki. Like, he usually has him, and the fact that he doesn't have him in this movie, and the cinematography and things like that are still as gorgeous as it is, I mean, there's really something to be said about that. I mean, he really did give his all to this movie. There's a passion to this film. There's a certain feel to it that I just wish more directors would have. And look, there's been a lot of directors that really do give their heart and soul to this film, but for Cuaron, this was on a whole other level, and I really loved what he was able to do here. It's a film that will make you fall in love with this family. You'll laugh at points, you'll cry with them, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a very memorable experience. It's one of those films that you really don't want to end. The last shot in particular is just fantastic. I love the way it was done. It has a standout performance from Yalitza Aparicio, who I said after this needs to be an actress. I can't wait to see what she's going to do after this. I really do hope she has something else in the works. Again, I know she doesn't want to be an actress, but please, I mean, she's so great here, and I can't go on about her enough, but this very much is Cuaron's film. It is very well his masterpiece. There are some of his movies that I haven't seen, but of what I've seen, this is very much his masterpiece. I really don't think he's ever going to top the passion, the love, and just the overall design of this film, what he was able to give to it. He gave his whole heart and soul over to it, and because of that, it is the best film that Netflix has done. Yes, finally something has actually topped Beast of No Nation. I didn't think it was possible, but this film very well did that. It is very much the film that they needed. It is something that everyone needs to see before the year ends, and for all those reasons alone, I am absolutely going to give Roma an A+. This movie did everything that it needed to do. It's very sentimental. It's, like I said, very quiet, but it is one of the most effective films I do think in this entire decade. And what a film to come out for Netflix. I mean, this came out at exactly the right time for them, and I really hope after this movie they start to make better decisions creatively and start to realize a direction that they really do need to go in, because if this film gets as much praise as I think it's going to get and as many accolades as it's going to get Oscar-wise, I definitely think they need to start rethinking things. But either way, guys, that's it for my review of Roma. Please see this film immediately. Even if you aren't a fan of foreign films and you're maybe turned off by the black and white, give it a watch. It really is, I really do think it is deserving of everyone's attention. I really do think it's something that everyone needs to at least give a watch to. But that's really for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this movie overall, if your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.